money that you said you're going to need for December, does that include the extra money that's going to be needed for the audiovisual? I'm going to need about another 70 grand.
It does not.
Okay, so that number probably needs to be like what?
Right now it is 250,
Plus the 70?
so plus the 70.
Okay. Can you guys turn that camera just a little bit more so we can get this row kind of in the picture? This one? Yeah. If you could just center it, that'd be great. Perfect. Thank you. We are in the right meeting, right? I just emailed you the meeting info if you need it.
Yeah, I got it. Where's my
Okay.
4456 is the last one. That's right. No meeting, I need to change every time. We are recording to the cloud now.
Perfect. Thank you.
Done.
Don't say anything you don't want to be heard.
PowerPoint, whoever embedded the documents, they aren't embedded. I click to views.
You have to click Control and then click.
The server application source file cannot be found.
worry about it now, it's too late. I thought you had already put the files on there.
I have all of them except for the P and L, and they just, this PowerPoint was saved from my email again today, so they weren't in there when it was sent out.
Yeah, just, I guess at this point, Colden, don't worry about it. Yeah, I don't know.
We all set?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it after this, when I go to contractor bids, bids and RD says about putting that out.
I believe he's addressing that. I believe it is. Morning, Paul. Good morning. Minutes. Morning, Brian.
This is gonna be a 1 hour
Huh?
meeting, right?
Or less.
Sit over there, please.
Thank you.
Hey, Brian Mann, how are you?
Hey, Bob, how are you, sir?
I am doing well. Sorry, I'm only joining audio, but I can see you. But
That's quite okay.
Mr. Cowell, how are you today?
I'm good, Brian. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Everything still okay with you?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there. Doing
All right,
well.
good.
Yeah.
Good. So, Brian Mann, do you still need me to actually kind of move us through the agenda? Is that my role still today?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
And I'll have to, assuming the board approves these resolutions, I'll need to get those over to you and the contract for you to sign, and probably just do that next week.
Okay, that'd be fine.
Dr. Ghosh won't be with us today, and Mr. Rosen is traveling, so he may or may not join with us today.
Okay.
So, but we have 4, right?
Hopefully we have 4, yes. We will need 4.
Yeah.
And I saw the mayor leave here, so I don't know if he was actually headed over there or if he was headed home to participate via Zoom. I don't know which it was.
Okay. Everybody should be participating virtually this go around.
Hey, John.
Hello, Robert. How are you, sir? Happy Thanksgiving, all.
You as well.
Thank
Hey,
you,
John.
bud.
How are we doing?
Good, Brian. Hey, Paul. Hey, Larry.
Good job.
Who else is there in the room?
Hey, RD.
Hi, Brian.
Dr. Dooley?
There's Ellen.
Hey, Dr. Dooley, how are you?
Good. How are you? Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, same to you. You got the turkey in the oven already?
Not yet. Okay, we deep fry ours. Okay, so we'll deep fry it tomorrow.
Oh, well, that's it.
Yeah.
That's quicker, isn't it?
It goes very quickly.
Well, I think Guru invited us all to your house from the Virginia Tech call. So you ready for all of us to show up?
I'm all ready. Okay, as we're going to model after the original Pilgrims and Indians Thanksgiving and eat outside. Okay,
Perfect. That sounds
Yeah.
great.
taking extra precautions.
That's great. Well, we
Yeah,
all
I think
needed something, a little break. So this is good.
Helpful that it's going to be almost 70 degrees, I think, so that'll be good.
I know that's really a blessing. we had it set up to either be outside on our patio or in the garage if the weather was, if that necessitated an indoor move. And so it appears right now as if we'll be on the patio. So that's great.
Have your whole family coming?
No, just our local kids, okay? Local daughter, son-in-law, and grandson, okay? The others, okay, don't have adequate time to appropriately quarantine, okay, to come in, so, yeah.
Well, at least you got part of the family. That's a good thing.
That's good, absolutely.
I believe we're still waiting on Dr. Pinkney and Mayor Lee. And Court is, Mr. Rosen is traveling and he may or may not join us from his vehicle. And Dr. Ghosh will not be with us today.
Hey, Brian,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry that I ended up having to have an appointment this afternoon that I'll have to leave about 1 o'clock, okay?
Yes, sir. Got you down.
Okay,
Hopefully
thank
we
you.
can get right through the new business.
but we should be able to. I think Becky and I are the only two people working at Virginia Tech today.
Good social.
Yeah, social distancing isn't a problem today, that's for sure.
Yeah, it sort of feels like that around City Hall here too. I mean, we're already light as it is, and then yeah, today I think there's like we have automatic lights, and I keep looking on the hallway, and they're going dark regularly. So I know
Yeah.
no one's walking down the hallway.
Yeah, same here, Bob. So we need the mayor and Dr. Pinkney for a quorum, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
I did get RSVPs from both of them, so we just have to hold on here.
This is gonna be Court Rosen.
There's Court.
Hey, Court, welcome.
Hey, how are y'all?
Great.
Good.
How are you?
Good. I'm in the car on the way out of town.
Okay, well, thanks for making the effort to join us.
Hope you all are doing well.
Doing great. Happy Thanksgiving, bud.
Thank you. You as well.
Do you have the boys with you?
I do. Brooke and the boys and I are going to a cabin outside of Asheville for 3 days.
Oh, wonderful.
So
Great.
just isolated, not getting with family, which is tough, but that's the world we're in right now.
Okay, yeah.
How about you all?
We're hanging here. I was telling them we're going to play like the early pilgrims did. We're going to have Thanksgiving dinner outside.
That's nice. Good.
I've still got to go and shoot the deer and the turkey, though.
Please take pictures. I want to see that.
I was talking to Dr. Smoot earlier today. He could have had fresh bear tomorrow. He's contending with a bear at his house. Okay, so three appearances in the last week.
Yuck.
We have a flock of turkeys that hang around our house all the time. But last time I ate a wild turkey, my grandmother cooked it. It was the toughest thing I ever tried to eat.
Yeah, I'm not a great fan of wild turkey, Larry. That's for sure.
That's why you invite the Indians, though, John. They bring the turkey and the deer.
That's exactly right. So, and the maize pudding.
We should feed quite a few people at the hotel tomorrow.
Yeah, what are our reservations, buddy?
We're at around 200 in the dining room. Kind of went up and down. We were up to 230 at one point and then back down to like 190. But averaging around 200, and we've got 120 plus to go 4-packs sold.
Whoa.
That'll be a good balance between in-house and delivered to-go option. So, RD, do you know how many Declan ended up at with the to-go boxes?
As of yesterday, it was like 190, so I don't know.
190.
Always last minute, so we'll see. Yeah, we're pushing, and we had a bet, remember, 200, and that I told him 200 at least. So I think I'm going to win this bet.
That's great.
Yeah. Court, I'm assuming you stopped by and picked up your to-go box, didn't you?
No. We should have, but I knew how busy Brian was going to be, and we just felt like we'd be adding to the burden. So
Okay.
I
Okay.
think RD might have paid you to go pick it up so he could get to his 200 number.
So do we need one more, Brian, for quorum?
Yes, still waiting on one.
Okay. Here, I'll text Dr. Pinkney to see if he's going to join us.
Thank you, sir.
And I know the mayor was, I just know that I saw him leave here a little late.
And what we'll do, just for the sake of time, we'll go ahead and start the meeting, and we'll just address items that don't need actions. A couple of housekeeping tips just before we take the roll call is just if you can put your lines on mute if you're not speaking, just to eliminate any background noise. This is our first virtual meeting where all the commissioners are virtually attending. So when we get to the point that we do have a quorum, and we get into items that need action, if you could just, anything that needs a parliamentary action, if you could just state your name and then the action, just to make it easier on Evelyn so we know how to adjust the minutes. I would appreciate that. And for the people in the room, seems like the audio is working well. If you could just make sure you speak into your microphones. And for the city, for this meeting, has asked for an exemption for the financials, and we've granted them that extension, or that exemption, and they will get us the financials prior to the January meeting, and I'll make sure to get them out to you as soon as possible. And they're just kind of overwhelmed and covered up with the CARES Act accounting right now, and we're just trying to get through that deadline, which basically has to take place on the 15th of December. I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Hey, Brian, the commissioners need to state where they are physically when we call the roll. Okay.
Okay. And if y'all could just stay physically where you're located, that'd be great. So I'll pass it over to, I guess, to Mr. Cowell, if you wanted to start the meeting.
All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. So, Brian, do you want us to go ahead and do roll now, or do you want us to hold until we've got enough folks?
We can go ahead and take the roll now, and we will monitor the commissioners, and if we have one more come in, then we'll have a quorum, and then we'll just address it that way.
Brian, Sherman just told me that he's about to join in the next few minutes.
Okay, great.
I have a feeling from my text that he was still thinking it was at 1.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I tried to send out some reminders. Typically, we meet early on this meeting because we're normally having a meal, and we want to get you guys home to your families. Of course, this is 2020, and everything is out the window at this point. So
That is true. That is true. Well, we'll go ahead and convene, and someone would please call the roll. And again, if you would remember to state where you're participating from.
Dr.
So
Dooley?
Brian, I don't know who's doing the roll.
Evelyn will do the roll.
Go ahead.
Dr. Dooley?
Here in Blacksburg.
Mr. Rosen?
Here in Christiansburg.
Dr. Pinkney? Dr. Ghosh? Mayor Lee?
Here.
There we go.
Roanoke?
Roan.
And Mr. Kyle?
And I'm here, and I'm at the municipal building in Roanoke.
Thank you.
Thank
that
you all,
does-
and we do have a quorum of members, so I appreciate that. At this point, I will call for, or ask about the approval of the minutes first by asking if anyone has any questions or additions or deletions to those minutes. And if not, I will entertain a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. So that was Court with the first and John with the second. Thank you all. Do we need to do a roll call, or can we just do that as a voice vote?
Just voice vote.
We just do a voice vote.
All right, very good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That approves the minutes. We will now move to the third item on the agenda, which is new business, beginning with a resolution of the commission regarding the video conferencing equipment. And Brian, do you want to take off with this item?
Yes, sir. Thank you, everybody. And so we wanted to bring before the commission today just a contract for approval for resolution number 365 for the video conferencing equipment that we were granted through the CARES Act funding through the city, for the city of Roanoke. You should have that proposal in front of you. And that is for the granting of the audio-video conferencing equipment in the sum of $400,000.
Thank you, Brian. Are there any questions regarding this item? If there are none, would entertain a motion for approval of this item, the resolution.
This
So
is
moved.
John. Okay. Mr.
Second.
Rosen. Okay.
So I have a motion by John and a second by Court. Do we want to do this as a voice vote, or should we do it as a roll call?
Voice vote.
All voice votes, Bob.
Very good, thank you. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good, thank you. That moves us to the next resolution, which is resolution number 366, and this deals with the management agreement. And Brian, if you would take up this item again.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Cowell. We want to bring Resolution 366 before the commission today. And what this does, in essence, is the end of the management agreement is at the end of the year, July 31st. And so our next commission meeting is in January. So we wanted to ask for an extension from the commission for 30 days to allow us to work out the contract negotiation with Benchmark. We plan on proceeding with a contract with Benchmark as a sole source contract. So, negotiations are going very well with that, with Ms. Sinclair and Mr. Wells. So this just gives us enough time to get the language together before the next commission meeting. So I bring that before you today, 30-day extension on the current management agreement.
So Brian, what is and it may be on here already, so that would give that date, we move that date to what date is it?
That would move it to the January 31st, and then the commission meeting is on the 22nd, I believe. So we would have a new contract hopefully in place by then to bring before the commission at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions?
Yeah, a quick question, Brian, man. This is John Dooley.
Yes, sir.
I'm assuming that we are coordinating with with Brian Wells on the hotel side to make sure that the two contracts are in congruence.
Yes. Yeah, and that's some of the reason that we asked for this extension was just for that reason, Dr. Dooley, is we're trying to run these congruent, and we knew that there was a clause in the LLC contract that the LLC decided not to entertain. So we had to kind of wait on that to figure out how we would move forward. So we want to run these congruent. So the LLC, if I'm correct, has another 5-year term. So this will be a 5-year term. And then they will both terminate at the same time. And that was kind of the reason we wanted to wait here just a little bit. We didn't want to try to ram it through in a short period of time due to the holidays, and being the Christmas time and those types of things.
Very good. Any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion for the resolution.
So moved.
That was Mary Lee. Is there a second?
Second.
That was John Dooley. Thank you. All those in favor, please say
Second.
aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, very well. Thank you all. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the operations and performance update. And Mr. Wells, I believe this one is yours.
What we want to do is first start out with some financial information and updates. And Larry Johnson is going to give us an update on our October performance. Larry, if you could cover that and the year-end forecast.
Certainly. So after 4 months, we have a total of $316,000 in total revenue. That's about $282,000 less than we had budgeted. We're down $86,000 to budget in food and beverage revenue. Conference services was down the most, down $165,000. Parking was actually up $8,400 to budget. And miscellaneous income, which is primarily the 12% F&B commission from the hotel, was down almost $39,000 to budget. Total department expenses, we did have savings of $92,000 versus budget. Undistributed expenses, we had savings of almost $28,000 versus budget, which made our GOP $162,000 less than budgeted. Net income was a net loss of $377,000, and that was $147,000 worse than we had budgeted for. Our revised forecast at this point has total revenues for the year at $1,143,000.
Everybody, I'm just going to jump in for a second. If everybody would make sure that they're on mute. If they're not talking, that would help. Thank you.
Current forecast for year end now puts us at revenues of $1,143,000, which is about $1,644,000 less than we had budgeted. Net income at a loss of $1,147,000, which is about $899,000 worse than we had budgeted for. Our forecast is very conservative through February. We do still have some revenue in for the fourth quarter. Mr. Mann had asked me to look at a zero revenue forecast, and for that, I basically assume that the only revenue that the conference center would be receiving would be their share of the parking revenue, as well as a 12% F&B commission from the hotel. Under that scenario, total revenue would come to about $595,000. So that's about $547 less than our current forecast. So basically, it's about half of our current forecast.
And if I could just chime in real quick, with the current language that's, floating around the nation and the current executive order amendment from the governor, we really kind of don't know where we're going to be heading here in the next few months for sure. Just to err on the side of caution, I did ask Larry and Brian to come up with a scenario. If there were, say, a national shutdown, what does that do to us? And how does that change our current forecast? So I wanted to make the commission aware of that situation. Let's hope that we don't get to that point. However, we have to at least be prepared for it if we do.
And then when you look at that scenario and start looking at expenses, you could cut out all of the food and beverage department expenses. That would be assuming all associates, food and banquets associates laid off, and you could delete all of the conference services expenses. However, because of the agreement between the hotel and the conference center, there are still going to be significant expenses that are going to be allocated to the conference center. Those include administrative expenses, which is general manager, accounting, human resources, and security. You're going to have sales and marketing expenses still allocated. You'll have information technology expenses still allocated. Engineering expenses will still be allocated, and you would still have some utilities. Although you could reduce those significantly, you're still going to have a minimum amount of utilities. So basically, the bottom line doesn't change very much versus our forecast. It's about another about a loss of another $146,000 on the bottom line.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, that assumes no changes on the hotel side. Well, obviously, if expenses on the hotel, if revenues on the hotel side were to continue to decrease as well and not reach our forecast, then we would make additional cuts in expenses and labor on that side as well, which would provide additional savings for the conference center also.
Hey, Larry?
Yes, sir.
And Brian, you know, as I've been giving some thought to this, and, you know, Brian Wells sends me weekly the reports from CBRE that kind of forecast what the recovery is going to be or could be. And as I read these and study these, you know, I'm very concerned that, okay, that we're not going to see a significant return to group business for some time, okay? Not at the pre-COVID levels. Have we done any modeling that goes into FY 22, 23 at looking at what that impact could be, what it does to our cash reserves? You know, I'm just becoming increasingly concerned that conferencing, okay, group business is going to be very slow in returning. You know, and Ellen, I'll be interested in hearing your take on that. And you know, I serve on the board of a bank, and one of the exercises that we're required to do on that board is to do what we call shock testing. Is that we look at various scenarios as it relates to the shock, okay, that it could have on, as it relates to markets, okay, and business. How difficult would it be for us to really look at some modeling here that makes the assumption, let's say that in FY 22, that at best we can expect a 50% of pre-COVID group business. Give me your all's thoughts on these various scenarios.
Sure, I'll start a couple comments, and I'm sure Alan will chime in, Dr. Dooley. You know, I think part of this conversation, in addition to what Brian said about a potential national shutdown, is confidence in vaccines and how that would roll out in the country and the timeline for that, because that, of course, is going to affect confidence in group meetings and gatherings. And, you know, as we've stated before in prior meetings, looking at our group booking pace, we have some meaningful business booked in the fall for the next fiscal cycle, which, you know, with the Hotel Roanoke and Conference Center being somewhat of a regional destination for meetings and not necessarily driven by airport traffic, we could be positioned in a little better spot for a quicker return to levels like you mentioned, around 50%. We have not started budget for next fiscal year yet, but clearly we can start to have dialogue about what that could look like, and also model up, like you say, into future years, kind of based on some of the CBRE projections, and see where that goes. But Ellen, I would be interested if you would chime in and talk a little bit about national scene and your thoughts on that.
You might possibly be on mute, Ellen.
Ellen, you're on mute. We can't hear you. Ellen.
And I was being so brilliant too. I'm so sorry you missed it.
You're back, you're back.
As I was trying to say, I agree with Brian that we definitely should be modeling the next few years out. The hard part is that it can be a model every week because the numbers and the thought process on how this is changing keeps shifting on us. As early as yesterday, we saw some information on a national basis, this is, that there seems to be now a more positive view that partially because of the good news on the vaccine. I think we need to dig in and show you what that looks like now with the new numbers. The other good news, and hopefully bodes well for us, you may have seen the announcement for the UK has started to bring back much larger meetings now, starting mid-December. And they supposedly are starting to vaccinate their population in December. So that brings a lot of positivity. And as Brian said, our biggest plus has been our location and our facilities, and the fact that we have that reputation to deliver the meetings, and now we have the wonderful hybrid option. So we do see that it's looking a little rosier than it might have 2 or 3 months ago.
So Ellen, a quick question, okay, is how will we monetize, okay, the hybrid model? What does the revenue side look like in the hybrid model?
And Brian, maybe you want to talk to how you're doing that. What we're seeing is a little bit of a different approach in each location. The great part is that because of the ability to finance the purchase of our equipment, we're a little bit ahead because we don't have to necessarily repay that bill. So it's been a mixed bag of charging a flat fee. There's been a fee for individuals, how many individuals you have on the Wi-Fi, et cetera. More costs for the equipment than anything else. And then there's just a package price. So Brian, I'm not quite sure what you've had for success and the people that you've been talking to and which profile has been working for you.
Sure. I mean, we've hosted some virtual meetings and charged fees for the setup and the labor for it. But with the hybrid meetings investment in the conference center, one of the things we're excited about is it's going to be implemented, I think, way ahead of competitors in our comp set. And because of what Ellen mentioned about CARES Act money and some other tools in our toolbox, we can use it as a huge competitive advantage to attract business sooner and offer a better value proposition. You know, paired with the group incentives that we're offering through Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge, which goes until June 30th of this year, and mini grants through CODA, which technology is a perfect candidate for. We feel that we can really attract more than our fair share of group business that is returning. But we will set a rate sheet on all the different elements of the hybrid meetings technology, Dr. Dooley. So we know what that value is on a retail basis. And then with these other tools and based on timing of the group, we can come up with offers to attract the business that's going to drive conference service revenue, as well as food and beverage, and of course occupancy in the hotel.
The biggest decision maker, or the reason for making decisions to start meeting in person again, has been if the meeting planners feel safe. So one of the biggest investments and successful investments that we've made, Brian and the team have delivered on that safe environment. And the meeting planners, people that we're talking to about booking, and those that have been on site are very comfortable with those investments. So it's going to support not only hybrid, where we have a good amount of people actually in the room, and then have some distance involvement as well. But the ability to provide both the safe in the room as well as the technology for outside the room, I think we're perfectly situated to really capture some of this business as people start poking their heads up and booking those meetings.
Yeah. And part of what our focus is right now, other than execution of the implementation, which RD is working really hard on with his team, is we really want a communications document that really speaks directly to meeting planners and convention planners. And it's almost like that Disney Imagineering, right? sometimes people hear about hybrid meetings and they're just really not sure what to do with it. And I think our job is to really put together a communications plan that lets them open their imagination and how can they be more efficient and more impactful at their event. I mean, we're going to have fiber backbone closet to closet from some of our larger meeting spaces, so we can bundle up the Crystal Ballroom, the Roanoke Ballroom, and the Washington Lecture Hall, and they could have attendees in each space, and they could be virtually engaging in real time and sharing the same general session. So we think that our overall attendance is going to be well beyond whatever phase Commonwealth has us in as we get into Q2 next year, calendar-wise. And that really will allow us to tell a fantastic story. The next, of course, goes on in addition to connecting virtually around the globe to whatever platform people are running, whether it's WebEx, Zoom, or Microsoft Teams, or whatever other product comes along. So we're excited about the overall capacities that we're going to have, and it's going to be a great story for us to all focus on and tell. And probably once we get through the holidays, that's when the story of all this is going to not get lost in the clutter, and we'll have that communications plan ready. Does that help, Dr. Dooley?
It does, Brian. And I guess the other question that I have is, and this may be for Sandra, since she's on, is do we believe that we have appropriately aligned our sales resources, okay, to capture the appropriate set of businesses when we come out of COVID?
I believe so. Currently, as Brian mentioned, we are working on a piece that we can distribute, and we are using a vendor of benchmark called HMA, and we're going to be communicating that to the clients and the meeting planners that have used the benchmark properties in our area to communicate that we do have that plan. So currently, we are down a few salespeople, as you know. We're down 2 event plan. We've downsized to just having one event planner and one on the catering side, and we still have 3 group sales and myself, and then one of the group sales managers is also working the local market plus the IBT market, the transient market. So I feel like we are pretty well covered right now to take on this task as we begin to have discussions with the planners about how we can facilitate any hybrid meeting.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Brian, if you could take us back to the lead slide. I think we still have an item left on the front slide, Brian.
Which slide?
Now, if you go back to the cover, one more. There you go. Thank you. Perfect. So of course, recently we've got the additional restrictions based on the executive order amendment by the Commonwealth, which really did change our activity and our forecast for the next 65, 90 days, which we did make adjustments, as Larry mentioned. One of the things that we found very disappointing in the rollout of the restrictions was the pop-up timing of it, which took a lot of our clients by surprise, in addition to the team at the hotel. But also the fact that some businesses that are entertainment or amusement in nature have the capacity to still host 250 guests in 30% capacity of their space. And based on the safeguards that we have in place, we felt that we should be able to have a similar capacity. So Landon Howard and I spent time reaching out to Senator Edwards' office, and on our behalf, his team reached out to the governor's office to see if there was any way that a conference center would have a similar capacity. Unfortunately, at this time, that idea was rejected. But I think it was a successful exercise in the fact that we made our points clear to both Senator Edwards and the governor's office. And the feedback that we got was hopefully this will put more of an emphasis on any additional relief money that is approved through the Commonwealth or received by the Commonwealth, for lodging or conference facilities going forward. So definitely worth doing. As far as a lifting of these restrictions, it's hard for us to guess when that might happen. Our contracting cycle is out into the future, so we really can't sit and contract on events of 25 or less beyond January. We have to be speaking with our clients like their events that are of a larger nature can still go forward. So we're trying to find that balance and communicate that to our clients. So that crystal ball timing of when the restrictions are lifted is going to affect us until we get some indication. So just wanted to mention that. Also, as far as COVID update, conference center, we've got that additional PPE money from the CARES Act, which we really appreciate. We've done a variety of things with it, including electrostatic sprayers. We've increased air quality in the conference center by improving the filtration on our HVAC units, and also invested in other PPE. Going forward, we have a deadline to spend some of that money by December 15th, which we'll have no problem doing. About half of it is spent at this time. We also implemented to save expenses and make the conference center more efficient, implemented a restriction protocol. And that's kind of a daily operating checklist. And it really, RD detailed a nice plan for the team, talks about utility savings, improving or increasing frequency of sanitation based on the new restrictions, and some other things that were direct reaction to the restrictions, and also trying to save more expenses in the conference center. So we wanted to mention that. One of the things that we did bump into from an air quality standpoint, which we were interested in, was a company called GPS. GPS makes a product that gets installed in your HVAC units that helps bind dust particles and particles in the air, so the filters that you do have work at an even higher capacity. Prices were a little higher than we expected, but we're still working on some potential plan where that might be an option for the conference center, which we think would be very helpful. RD, do you have any quick comments on the technology regarding GPS?
Other than I just want to say the GPS technology is an ionizer systems that many universities and municipals already have installed. It takes basically, when you increase from a MERV 8 to a MERV 13 filter, which is what we've done in the conference center, if you add to the GPS technology, it takes it almost to HEPA filter requirements. So it's really money well spent. To do the every HVAC system, which is 20, we have 27 or 29 large units that supply the hotel and conference center. If we added this technology, we could use a lower filter, which meaning we'll keep it at M13, which is decently high, but it would increase air quality significantly to HEPA filters throughout all the public space. And I just think, given the concerns with the public, a total investment right now at $105,000, that's both sides of the house, would do that. Concentrating only on the conference center, potentially, it's probably going to be in the neighborhood of about $35,000, maybe $40,000. And that's just good technology that I'm glad you brought up, Brian, and I just wanted to make sure everybody understood what it did. We get natural ionization through waves that crash onto the seashore and things of that nature, and that's why it's great. It's proven technology, and again, they have a list of references through large cities and states and universities and whatnot that have already done this thing. It's something that I think we should continue to look into.
Yeah, thanks, RD. Definitely the research, I think, is worthwhile. But we wanted to just let you know some of the ways we've been looking to leverage that PPE CARES Act money to the best of our ability. And right now, that's the update on that. We want to move on to the STAR report, Brian? So this is the October STAR report. As you can see, this is comp set 4, so it's other large group type hotels in Virginia. And as you can see, Hotel Roanoke did exceed significantly that comp set 4, in Virginia with a 50% occupancy in December. And if you look at the rolling 3 months, you can see the 44.9%. So definitely outperforming similar group branded hotels throughout the state. Really does kind of point to struggles that hospitality is having right now with the pandemic. And, we continue to month make strategies to keep those numbers at a higher levels. I mean, into December, even though weekdays with the new restrictions have really dropped off, there is some meaningful travel still on weekends, which remains the case. And we do have a few football games in the month, which will also drive some group traffic. And if you want to go to the next slide.
Ryan, if I can just ask a question, are we still good with the football team coming here under the current restrictions?
We're working directly with them. Football, Division I football and other, divisions throughout NCAA are playing. Teams are traveling into markets. UVA hosted a team from Texas last weekend. So, we're talking with them on segregating the group into 25 pods of 25. And also asking what permissions they might have from any of the local health authorities on how they gather. So, we still have them coming in, and we will handle them in accordance with, compliance on the new restrictions and, what sort of information they can give to us. But they are still on the books, 2 games in December.
Brian, currently they are saying that they have an out really on the only having 25 people in each room because they do not want to do that. And so we have asked them if they have a document or is there somebody that they've been working with the Virginia Department of Health that we can speak with so that we can make sure that we're all on the same page. And so right before the meeting started, I had emailed Elizabeth and Nick to see if they've heard back from them so that we can try to move forward because they're insisting they can have more than 25 people in one meeting room. So more to come.
Yeah. One thing, the restrictions did detail that higher education facilities would continue to operate the way that they have as long as they're with, pretty sure it was phase 3 guidelines. So, that is something a little different as far as that particular piece of business is concerned. And then this slide, really from the Virginia Restaurant Lodging Tourism Authority, their quick summary of impact throughout the different market tracks in Virginia. And you can see that Northern Virginia, Arlington, DC, those areas, suffering the worst. Roanoke not doing too much better as far as occupancies in October, especially versus prior year. And, when you look at it and you think about that, I think to some extent the impact of education and university business in the greater, Southwestern Virginia market in, Roanoke and Blacksburg, specifically, are highly dependent on fully functioning universities and colleges. So I think we're seeing some of that influence on these numbers. And of course, the ability to host group for us, is the big factor. But I wanted to share this information so you get a flavor for what's going on throughout the state. And this slide, quick update, month of October, guest satisfaction, safety questionnaires due to the pandemic here. These are, of course, from Hilton. It's the SALT metrics. And you can see that the Hotel Roanoke and Conference Center continue to far exceed the brand Curio for overall service and experience, and then confidence in response to the pandemic. So we wanted to share that with you. And now we have some group information. Sandra, would you cover these slides, please?
Sandra, you might be on mute, Sandra.
Sorry, can you hear me now? I'm having some challenges here.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so basically, as we've already discussed multiple times regarding where we're pacing and what the forecast is, so you can see in Q2 currently, we are pacing at 1,029 rooms on the books, and we're forecasting 978. And for Q3, we have 1,793 room nights on the books. We're forecasting 2,139, which is a difference there of 346 rooms, $118,000 defined. And then for Q4, we're pacing now 42, 21 rooms and forecasting 4,738, which is we need to pick up 517 more and $68,000. And so we do have some tentatives still in play, as you can see in Q3. We have 80,000 in tentatives against our 118,000 that we need to pick up. And in Q4 right now, we have 119,000 in tentative room revenue. That will definitely help us pick up this 68,000 that we're short currently. And so if there's no questions, I'll just go to the next slide. And pretty much we continue to see a drop in business. So for the month of October, we had 40 people meet in on a day meeting package that had at least 10 rooms or more. And we had 109 people that met on a package that did not have any overnight accommodation, so a local group, and then 779 that were not on any type of package that did meet. So we had 928 people meeting in the month of October, and year to date, it's been 3,300, a little over 3,300. So we are very thankful for our Virginia Tech team that continues to play and stay with us. It was one of the larger groups that we had in addition to the Lead Virginia group. So we're very thankful for that. And again, just really the PACE report, which we went over, the PACE report that we went over a few slides ago, that was, I updated that from the end of October to November 20th, just to get a better idea. So it's a little bit different than the screen, but the team was able in the month of October to close business on 2,366 rooms. 1,279 of those were in this year, and then 1,087 were for the following year, with 738,000 of those being on a package. But again, we lost, in addition to what we gained, the 2,366, we did lose another 805 all for the current year. And so as far as package rooms and EP rooms go, you can only imagine with those numbers. So we did have 518 EP rooms, not on any type of package, and then only 20 rooms associated with a package for 538 group rooms in the month of October. Of course, 1,560 down to budget. And then we have been working with Benchmark on a business development sales initiative where we've been doing weekly calls with other hotels and a training company and really focusing on business development and sales initiatives. What customers can we get back in the door? Instead of being reactive to any calls, being proactive on a solicitation program to find new business, to try to get back to business as normal with a proactive solicitation process in place, so that we can continue to fill the sales pipeline and target those industries that are doing travel and are conducting meetings. And so basically, we had to do 25 personalized reach outs per day for each team member to identify 50 qualified leads per week. So the team did very, very well. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but each week, as I mentioned, we did get on calls with Benchmark in this training company called Sales Boost to keep our teams motivated and to keep them on the telephones as much as possible. So Brian, we're all the way down to the website traffic.
Great. So this slide really just details November, and it's year over year. The graph shows 2019, 2020 web traffic. And the positive thing that it shows is that web traffic is up. We're seeing a lot more unique visitors. The opening of the Pine Room expansion in 1882 plays a role in this. And of course, holiday traffic, our Thanksgiving to go option being unique to last year also is driving quite a bit of traffic. So our efforts with VBR to drive drive-in traffic for business, specifically on weekends, also seeing some of that revealed. And then the bottom portion of this slide really is, since February, it's website traffic year over year. So you can see quickly in a glance that that is picking up, which we find to be positive. There's a lot of pent up travel demand. People are starting to do research, and we are getting a decent share of that web traffic. And continue to work through the pandemic with VBR to organize good public relations impressions. A couple good articles just in the past week. One with the Atlantic Business Journal about travel and destinations, which we place nicely in, and also World Property Journal listing Roanoke as a top city for Thanksgiving travel. So we were happy to get some very current press, in addition to some Pine Room related articles and news coverage, which was very, very positive for the property. And another product that we launched in the last 2 weeks is a product called Workspaces by Hilton. And again, this is ability to have office on a daytime rate for folks if they need to get out of their home, do that remote office work or meet in small meeting groups. We have had some of that in suites. Small companies will come in and have their 5-6 person gatherings. We in this Workspace by Hilton will really hopefully facilitate more of that. And again, we talked a little bit about getting organized on the hybrid meeting message and what that is going to be to inspire meeting planners. So we've already got web page landings that we're drafting out. So wanted to show some of that information. And we're really looking around all the different partners that we have. What is Hilton doing with hybrid meetings? How are they selling it? What is IAC saying? Even benchmark partners, ETC venues. So we're really looking to pick up the best ideas that are out there and then putting our personal spin on them. Any questions about any of the previous slides? Well, I'm going to turn this over to RD. I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to you all, and travel safe.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. Mine won't take long. I only have one page, but still a lot to go over. Building fire systems is what is currently on our board, both in the hotel and the conference center. It's a shared project. The infrastructure or the backbone is being laid as I speak. And as you can imagine, with all the units that we have, fire poles, smoke heads, heat detectors, and water flow devices, that's a lot of devices for both properties. Sorry. Oh, thank you, Brian. And so we have already started that, and we expect a completion of May 31st, and that'll totally update our full fire system, both in the conference center and our hotel. The parking lot equipment and rework, it's kind of funny that we had that long discussion at our last board meeting, because after that meeting, about 3 weeks later, Brian and I received an email unsolicited from Frank Colemansberger from Entry Guard, and it says, "I'm emailing you to tell you that the end is relatively near for your federal APD system. I think we can support your system through mid-year. I'm not confident we will be able to get any spare parts in the second half of your year." So I think we had full equipment use out of that gate system, and thankfully the bid process is going along very nicely. I typed we would have November 24th would be the bid date. It's actually December 24th would be the bid date. And I'll have, once we open that bid, if we're in budget, one, we'll make it be in budget, but I'm hoping it naturally comes in budget on its own. And then I'll process that paperwork through Brian Mann, and we'll get this thing rolling and hopefully start it by the end of January of our new year. Virtual hybrid meeting rooms, I really don't need to go into that too much. Brian and the board has already talked about all those wonderful things, but it really will allow us to efficiently offer and deliver a dynamic virtual platform. I really do think, as Ellen said, it positions us in a very valuable place for our clientele. No matter what they choose and no matter what the governor's order offers or throws at us, we'll be poised and ready to deliver a meeting experience far exceeding our competition. And lastly, but not least, I'd like to send out a shout out. You know, even with the governor's order hugely restricting us from 250 back down to 25, and I personally, and as all of us hope, that it doesn't last very long. But nonetheless, the 1882 bar and the Pine Room and the guest rooms and the few meetings that we do have in the conference center is really maintaining the hotel at least, and it's bringing in revenue. So there's still an ops team here. It may be limited, but with fewer people doing more jobs, I just wanted to say thank you. As you know, or as most board members should know by now, we chose not to do Festival of Trees. That'll be the first time in my 21 years, and we've only been doing it for about 18 years. And then we also chose, because the bar, and I realize this is the HRCCC meeting, but they need to realize that we will not have a lobby tree. That lobby tree has been transferred to a private event in our junior ballroom, in our ballroom, and only because our Pine Room is bringing in revenue. So we want to focus on enhancing the outlets that are working. The 1882 bar and Pine Room are bringing in the revenue, so we want to keep that side of the hotel lobby open for our guests. So we have transferred that tree down to a private tree, and it'll also encourage social distancing in the space of the lobby. And so we focused largely to still bring a dynamic experience to all of the guests that do come. We focused to an outdoor, really enhancing our light show outdoors. The hotel, I know you're not here, but the hotel looks beautiful. The engineering team especially, and the ops team, even the sales team, Belinda came back in and helped us, really looks fantastic. It looks like it looks like a wonderland. No, it's not Festival of Trees, but it looks dynamic, and I thank our team members that are really putting forth the effort. And if you're in the area, please come by and look at our lights outside. You can drive around to the front circle. We'll have a viewing location. And I just wanted to tell both boards that the hotel will still have the holiday flair that she has been known for decades and decades. And that ends my slide, sir.
Thank you, all. Appreciate it very much. Does anyone have any other questions of the team relative to the updates? If not, Brian, do we still have an item associated with the CARES Act that you want to cover?
Just a quick update to let the commission know that we are on track to fulfill the requirements of the MOU for the CARES Act funding, having the money spent by December 15th and trackable and back to the city. And we just want to extend a thank you to the city for really giving us this competitive leverage that we're going to have in the market as we trod through an emerging market that we really are still. And Dr. Dooley mentioned, how do we make money on this? And everything that was said sounded great, but the million-dollar question is, I think we're still trying to figure that out. Luckily for us, in the grant money, it puts us in a position with no overhead that any monies that does get taken from it drops right to the bottom line, which is a good position to be in financially and from a business standpoint. So other than that, we are still on track, and that would be the only update I have for that.
Thank you. And again, I would thank you and Brian Wells both for the creativity and the idea so that we could get it in front of us and get the funds to you. And then certainly the team there that's working so hard to actually get everything installed, because I know everything had to move very quickly. So definitely appreciate that as well. That brings us next to the budget update, if there is additional information associated with that.
And I believe Larry covered that in the beginning of the meeting. Again, from what I hear, by May, we're supposed to have 70% of the country is supposed to be have the vaccine by then, which is supposed to create herd immunity. So, that's really the threshold for us. And I hope that we get there sooner than later. And we will just have to monitor the situation if there are more orders that come from the governor and or from the federal government. And we're already being proactive and looking at ways to seek those, proactively instead of reactionally, and just taking proper actions in case those things were to happen.
Yeah, let's hope that the confidence that the stock market is showing is shared by everyone as the economy starts to recover. So definitely hope to see that. Thank you. That brings us to other business. Are there any other business from from the board members? Anything to add to the discussion?
Bob, it's Court. I was just going to say thank you to everyone on the team. This is, I can't imagine working in the hospitality industry, quite frankly, right now when the country seems to be shut down, and listening to the efforts that Sandra and her team are making. Really, really very appreciative of that, because it's such a hard time, especially in your business. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Court. I would echo that as well. I know that, as was mentioned by Brian earlier, that everyone's doing 2 or 3 times the jobs that they were doing before, and doing it in an environment that's probably less exciting than it typically is. So certainly appreciate everyone's efforts and work there, most definitely. So thank you. The next meeting for the Conference Center Commission is scheduled at this point, as was mentioned, for January 20th at 1 o'clock, and more than likely, I'm sure will be at least partially, if not completely, virtual, but certainly more details will be coming forward with that. I certainly want to extend my appreciation for all that has been going on, and also wish everyone a great and very safe Thanksgiving as we move forward. And since we won't meet until January, also the same for the rest of the holiday season as we proceed forward, and trust that by the time we meet in January, we'll all be filled with a lot more hope than we have had over the last several months in light of all that is going on. So certainly want to extend that and give the opportunity to any other board members with any closing remarks as we move toward adjournment. All right, very good. Well, appreciate it. You all have a excellent day. Brian, I trust that is all that we have. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, with that, we will adjourn the meeting, and everyone have a wonderful week and wonderful holiday.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thanks
Happy holidays.
everyone.
That was efficient. Yeah, 104. The actual meeting time was